Right. Okay, good. 6 o'clock, we'll call meeting to order. First order of business is the pledge of flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You purposely wait so the video didn't give us.
I know, I was like, oh, you did us a favor.
Okay, we'll review and approve the minutes of November 20th.
So moved.
There's a motion and a second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everyone. Members reports, we'll start with Lindsay. Ron, nothing, Chucky? Chelsea?
Nope.
And I can't remember, so we'll dive right into the town manager's report.
All right, town report dedication, Spirit of America Award nominations of open nomination papers for municipal office that would be elected at town meeting in March. Those are now available due back the 2nd of January. Holiday stroll is December 14th. That afternoon, if you're interested in participating, reach out to us here at the office. Tomorrow afternoon into Friday, I'll be away at a managers conference down in Portsmouth. And then over to dog licenses being now available online. We close that half day for training. Honestly, the training was very productive, but the system is still awful. So please be patient with us. And if you are coming into licensed dog, you need to have that proof of rabies vaccine with you. We don't have any of that really on file. And it's a whole new system. So those are all due 12/31. You'll get the 30-day after that grace period. The roadwork update is that our town planned roadwork is done for the season, but the water district awarded a late in the season project to Sargent. That's the water main on Upper Main Street. And they're gonna try to get from that pump house up to Wade Street on Upper Main Street. And so starting on Friday, there are gonna be daytime shutdowns on the road, bypass to Betterman Road and Airport Road. Please, but also part of that is a large failing cross culvert down at the foot of the hill. And so the road committee's asked me to reach out to Sargent to see if they would be willing and able to replace that culvert while they're there and in the ground. So we would save probably a good amount of money because they're already there making their money and save the mobilization costs as well. So we are working on that right now. Had a meeting with them, second meeting with yesterday, and things are moving along. We'll keep you posted on that, but the road committee pretty much said we want to move on this and we're not going to get it done for any cheaper than it is. And so we're just waiting to get a price. They started with a plastic culvert recommendation, but they're coming back to us now. The engineer and contractor coming back and saying, if we can get a concrete pipe at a comparable or slightly more expensive price, then that's what we really should do. So we're not going back and revisiting. So we'll be dealing with that in the coming week or two. Looking a little bit ahead to after your next meeting, the plan here is to close a half a day on Christmas Eve. Be closed on Christmas, and I'm gonna close the office the day after Christmas, requiring the use of PTO. So everybody will be taking vacation the day after Christmas to get that extra day, and then we'll be back open on that Friday. And on New Year's Eve, we'll be closing at noon and then close for that holiday. Over on the backside, we've got the planning board update. They should be looking at the draft shoreline zoning ordinance at their meeting next week. I would expect that that's going to get polished off on and moved over to you folks for consideration at town meeting. They're also going to be reviewing a subdivision modification up on Father Rowell Road, where the applicants proposing merging lot 1 and 2 in for lot 1. The lot that they really want to build on isn't a buildable lot, and so by merging that with the second lot, it would allow them to locate where they'd like to. Ultimately, it results in a subdivision with arguably more restrictions because there's a lot reduction there. So I don't see there to be too many obstacles. Parking ban is in effect, just a reminder there. Communications received, that's in the red folder. Matt's gonna read those and cycle them around the table. You got a thank you from the Somerset Grange for the letter for $1,500 contribution that we sent a while back that they're committed to use for interior repairs, which in upgrades, furnace repairs, lighting upgrades, kitchen, bathroom improvements, etc. Family of Dick LaBelle for the flowers, and then Paul and Susie Peters, they're residents of Upper Main Street regarding the proposed water main project. And they're concerned about their property being disturbed. I believe that that has all been addressed now. I worked with the water district's engineer to get a plan for what's in front of their house. They're gonna be moving the line actually away from their property, so not an issue. But if folks do have issues about project disturbance on their property, even if it's in the public right of way, reach out to us, we'll guide you in the right direction. And pretty much it's the contractor's obligation, whether it's the water district or the town or whoever, to restore that to the condition it was in before, if not better. So please reach out if there are any concerns there, but thank you to the Peters for reaching out to us and working with us. Make that quick. A little bit lengthy here, but the Mercer Road lot update, don't want you to think that it's been forgotten. I'm working on the two things that we had left, which was a potential for a library and then a multi-use support. So since we really had the most recent discussion, we've had library meetings and then also a rec meeting. I get this, the shortest one is the rec meeting, which said they want to move the library. They would hope that the library would go to the new lot and then leave the lot, the space that the current library is down by the ball fields empty. Because the size down there isn't very big, and if in the future you decided to see if the school wanted to have some sort of an agreement to involve the basketball courts, then that might create more space for multi-use courts down there. But that leave it empty for the time being, but move the library. And they said if the library doesn't want a new library, then move the existing library up there, and it just makes better sense for the rec program. Before that, I reached out to the library trustees. And I laid out a series of questions for them, knowing that we're coming into budget season and we really want to know what the line of thinking is. And so I've listed them here just so that you know. I haven't received a response to any of this. It's been relatively quiet. By relatively, I mean very quiet in terms of the responses to this. What do you think of the new library on the Mercer Road property? And if you're not in favor of one there, then why or where? What would you like to see in the new library? Things that we might have already or things that you would want? What do you want to see outside the library? Green space, learning area, there's some parking, things like that. What would you want to see? Do you have a budgetary amount? This is really important. A budgetary amount for what you think is reasonable to explore or plan for considering a new library. So really your consulting, your engineering fees, we have that in reserves if it was the library. So your building layout, your site plan, things like that, whether or not it's on that location or a different. So I think that's probably the most important question that I've asked is what would they think is a reasonable amount to spend? And then what do they think is a reasonable amount to invest in construction? From the library trustee perspective, and then any other comments that they might have. So that's been there since, it's been just about a month, I guess, since that request went over. They've met twice. And I don't have anything back, but I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a comprehensive document coming from them about what they would like or not like. Time is of the essence there, so we will see. There is a single wide mobile home on the block right now. And that is to do with the holiday stroll, as we talked about in the meeting. It is New England rent owned. They are setting that up. They put the skirting on it. They'll be decorating it for the holidays. They will be opening it up during the holiday stroll for a very nice raffle, I believe. And then they'll also have it lit up for the stroll as well. So that's New England rent to own. Doing that, the mobile home will then be moved off as weather permits thereafter, but it is not a permanent fixture on the property. And then cleaning up the rec department, this is in response to several issues, big and small, over the last few seasons. And that is that they've adopted two new documents. The first is the coach's code of ethics, which we're going to require every coach, volunteer coach, to sign off on prior to the start of the season. It talks about good sportsmanship, all the stuff that every adult should know already, but forgets when they think that their child is going to pay for their long-term living later in life. So we need to reinforce that. We're also going to be working on using that same template for a parent guardian sign off, that when you sign up your child, you will be checking that box that certifies that you understand this and that you're going to abide by that too. And then that gives, unfortunately, our volunteer or lowly paid program director the ability to say, no, you need to leave and you're not welcome back. Or unfortunately, your kid's gonna be removed from the program because you're.
Can't we do that now without that?
I mean, you can, but. It's
Just better.
nice to put it up.
My work this is like, I can see here that like there's, you know, saying that you can write good things about someone. I mean, this is already, it's a non-paid gig, like you're already putting up with all kinds of stuff and like adding it to your schedule. If you now have like, you know, the Karens of the world now writing like, she's not nice, she doesn't play my kid, she's a little bit rough, like, I'm pretty sure I'd be like, do it yourself then.
We see it quick, easy, like online, they can pull up a complaint form, fill it out.
Yeah,
That's what, okay, yeah,
Better than
I like
taking
that,
phone
I do, actually, I
So,
think that's.
right, that's the second component, so we have the code of ethics, we're gonna have a parent guardian code of ethics. Then we have the concern and compliment form, it's available hard copy here, it'll be available in PDF online, and it's also a fillable form, you fill it out and it immediately drops into my inbox. I get parents anyway.
Yeah.
They call me and tell me that the coach is terrible, that the coach is picking this one over that one because they're friends with their mother or their father, or everything.
I think it is different if someone puts it in writing and
Right.
puts something about that, like,
Yeah.
you know, like it's hurtful,
We
especially when you put
had-
in so much and like you do it for free and only because you want to do that. Like, I think
Right.
that is my concern, and that's probably 90% of the time, everyone's like, they're amazing, I love these coaches, but like,
Well, the coach isn't getting it though.
It
You know what I
comes to
mean?
me, and
Right, so
allows
then
me
you
to
could
filter.
determine if it's,
yeah.
needs to be brought to the
We've
coach.
always had a line for people to complain or express concerns. We've always had the complaint line. People call in, people are not gonna call in and tell you that they're doing a good job.
No,
They're not gonna call in and tell you thank you. So that's gonna continue, and I'm refusing to take anonymous complaints. So you're not gonna get on there and put anonymous. If you do not attach your name to your complaint, then it doesn't rise to the level of grieving against a volunteer coach or even an employee. It doesn't. We're not gonna tolerate that. And if it is something that's serious, which we have had,
yes, no, I
then
know
we have
that,
the ability to
yes.
manage through it. But
Yeah.
this now creates a more consistent filing and review of those concerns about our village. And it's sensitive and some of it's fluffy, but that's what people expect for their children nowadays, and that's what we will provide them for the free youth sports that we offer.
No, I like that, really, and it makes sense,
In
really.
a perfect world, it's gonna generate a lot of, hey, this coach just really did a wonderful job the other day. And I don't care if it's the Norridgewock coach or the coach from Waterville,
Yeah,
you know.
I hope that's how it's used, and it's not just,
Hopefully.
no.
Yeah,
Because it is, it's like, and I don't think that people fully appreciate the amount of time, effort, energy, like resources that people put in, and there's not a penny in it, like, and, you know, we're lucky to have the coaches that we have. I think about my kids, like, Izzy gets carried for all these things, and like, if someone that, if, you know, two people write something crappy about her because their kid's a turd or something like that, and she doesn't coach anymore, then my kid's like out, and that's the only thing I worry about. There's just, you
The
know.
rec committee wanted me to create a uniform way for people to file their concerns. And I didn't feel right framing it. And saying, just, here's the bucket, put it in.
Mhm.
So offering the positive, I thought was a
We just
little
can't
bit
have a
better.
complaint bucket, just.
It allows us then to recognize those types of people that,
Okay,
you know, everybody says Carrie, but Alyssa's always right behind her.
yeah,
You know, those types of things where maybe she's taking care of, but there's a kid that's.
and I know that
Anyway.
there's like baseball coaches that are hitting each other with baseball bats. I'm just thinking of like my own experience, and we have such good ones, and like, I would be super upset if like, you know, I've heard people say stupid things, and it's whenever they have something bad to say about some coaches, like, well, your kid's kind of. I get the decision, like, but please don't come for those nice coaches. So that would be my.
yeah, and I would hope it would be available to people that aren't from the town as well. If you're on our fields or at one of our sporting events, I would like there to be access. Whether you scan it or QR code it, whatever, make it available, so that that venting is done on that form and not to a coach or to another parent. It at least gives people an outlet so where they maybe will feel like they're heard. As well as maybe we'll get some great feedback to where we do have a bad coach or something we can improve on our fields or.
I see the
within
district
our-
attorney have to be escorted out of a basketball
It,
game.
it takes all kinds.
Yeah, I mean, so
Yeah.
it takes all kinds, I mean. Fair,
I think that's
I
great.
just don't wanna have this. Like, make people feel like there's even more of like a spotlight on it and then more like scrutiny, and they just don't even wanna deal with it. Like, I'm hoping that this doesn't deter any volunteers from wanting to step up and do this because of that. Like, that would be mine.
I'm hoping it'll do what Matt's saying is like redirect.
Here's hope.
Yeah,
like,
right, just.
We
kind
hear
of
you,
shift it.
but
Yeah,
please report that
are we
here.
giving them an easier access to complaining, so more, that would be my.
I should think
Yes,
so.
I would want more to complain in this fashion.
right.
If that's what you're gonna do, I think that it comes to
Yeah.
fruition, and
Yeah.
it's not in the heat of the moment.
Most don't do that, I mean, like,
They will,
yes.
and they always do. But
Yeah.
Yeah, you're always gonna have that trouble.
Right,
Yeah.
so I think that's great. Excellent. That's all you've got?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see, number 8 here, discussion action on December 4th, general warrant.
Motion to approve journal warrant 21 in the amount of $37,374.76.
I now second that.
Yep, motion and second, any discussion?
What is Hussey Communications for?
That is the,
That's the balance of the side by side lights and radios, like,
Side by side lights and radios with $5,000?
the package, the outfitted package. Yeah,
Holy crap.
that's
Wow.
on
That's a side by side. Okay.
This is just pure curiosity, but why are there things that say 0?
not sure.
Those are just voided checks, so for example,
Okay.
if there are 50 invoices, they don't all fit on one check stub.
Okay,
So you'll see the vendor is the same, so
Yeah.
it's usually a card member services, that's a credit card.
Yeah.
Or CMP, we have
Yeah.
20 different accounts, so
Yeah.
they don't all fit.
okay. Thank you.
I like the negatives.
Yeah, compared to
Some
questions
negatives, I
like that in 9 years. Was that 9 years, nobody's asked that question.
I'm not complaining, I wish they also had some 0, but.
It's going in order, like the checks go in order, I mean, the check numbers are right there, like it's.
yeah, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everybody? Public comment? Fire away, Skip.
The Richard, on that cross culvert, you think that's gonna fly with it,
But who, what?
with the contractor putting it in?
I wouldn't.
Yes, the contractor's been in my office 3 times in the last week. They're really excited about doing it. Their biggest concern was permitting. We've already heard from Army Corps of Engineers that they're fine with us moving ahead. That's the biggest obstacle. And DEP's been foot dragging, but we're fairly confident that's just a permit by rule. And so that's a few $100, and then we'll be off and running.
Oh, okay.
Right, and they're actually talking about doing it after they replace the water line in that section because of the asbestos on the outside of that line. And it would
Oh,
be easier for them to come back and actually replace that line first.
okay, is the water line above or below?
Above it.
Above that.
Okay,
They passed that before.
But I can tell you that they went to do an interior inspection of that cross culvert. And the person refused to go into the cross culvert.
yeah. Good, good, what we're doing.
And really, what are you talking for a difference on concrete?
Not sure. That's what we're gonna get 2 prices. We're gonna get the price on the plastic, we're gonna get the price on the.
But you're in the thousands, not the tens of thousands.
Oh, yeah, you're
Right,
talking
right.
$1 million.
Well,
Million
yeah,
dollar
yeah,
project
but
anyway,
the,
so-
the difference between plastic and concrete is just gotta be
If it's
pretty.
$10,000 to $20,000 difference,
Big,
you would be wise
To
to
still-
pay the extra.
Right.
Because you're not, nobody at this table is gonna be back fixing that culvert again,
no.
right?
No.
If
If you put
everyone,
the plastic one in, we're gonna be, somebody's gonna be here. Probably me, but you know, having to do it again, you've got almost a permanent fix if you put the concrete in. We're gonna talk about it more at the next meeting, but, road committee's laid out a very, very nice road plan, and I think they've got a plan in place to get a lot of road work done. This year, all within budget and below budget, so they have really collected me on it.
Anything else?
No, that's good.
Okay, Dalton, anything on the public?
Nope.
Okay. Policy number 10 here, discussion action on use of contingency for fire expenses.
In your package, you have the cover letter that I sent out, with the chief's blessing last week. Talking about department overages. And then also a second page is kind of, it's under the pen, that's in the spreadsheet that is used to push his budget out where you can see where his actuals are, what he's forecasting to come in terms of invoices outstanding, forecasted payroll and whatnot, in the position that we're in. He's gonna take you through it, the one that comes from admin really, because we said back in the Department of Labor violation of $2,800. At the time, you folks just said, apply it to each department, and then we'll deal with it later. So that $2,800 did hit the fire department budget, as it did other departments. And that is a contributing factor to your issue here. We also had pump testing from 2023 that did not get invoiced until 2024. It was too late to accrue it back. So we did 2 sets of pump testing in this budget cycle. The result of that was that extra money from 2023 lapsed into our general fund. And then we have labor expense which we have their labor rates, we can't control really the number of calls, that we have, or the length of calls or whatnot, or the time of day those calls are. And so our full-time numbers are driving a little bit higher. And when they're responsive, you can't tell them, we don't want them to come. And then we've got truck maintenance. 21 has been costing us some money and it's gonna cost us some more money in the future. So we've got an overage of 20,000, let's just say. Where we're forecasted to come in over budget. And so the goal here today is to resolve how we get a balanced budget. And you have cover the overdraft with contingency, and then take the remaining out of the department's equipment reserve. That is the recommendation of administration of the department. Or you can carry the overdraft, and that is write a separate article to insert to town meeting, to raise and appropriate the overage amount, and cross your fingers and hope that it passes. That's what we're here for tonight. So the chief is at your disposal for questions and anything else that you want to add or highlight.
That's a good summary. On the sheet that I created that has a green column, just be aware, this is what I do every year when I'm creating the next year's budget. And the first thing I try to do is figure out where we're gonna end the current year. Right? And with a lot of help from Peter and Richard, we figure out and anticipate, what do we got for bills, what do we have for no, things like phone, you go, okay, give me one more month of that, and internet, one more month of that. And things like calls, you have to presume your current run rate, so you're guessing, but you try to anticipate where you're gonna end up. So like Richard said, it looks like we're gonna end up around 19,000, a little more over budget. And down the bottom right, you can see what are the major contributors, and Richard just highlighted them, but labor being up to the tune of 6,700, and that's primarily the full-time labor and part-time labor for myself and Daryl, not the call labor like call firefighters. That's up, and the biggest driver of that is overtime, and there's short of, like Richard said, short of telling them not to come. They're two of our most frequent flyers when it comes to coming to calls, and it's hard to tell them not to. If we had 100 firefighters, we could tell them not to. Sure, that's Wednesday's tone test right on time. Yes, it is.
I have a question. With the full-time firefighters, if that's where kind of the expenditures have sort of run away, obviously, like if the body count is needed on a call, everyone needs to be there. But if there were enough people that were like the call force or the part-time, whatever, to come in, why wouldn't we tell the ones who are getting paid like time and a half to not come in if we could like mitigate that overtime cost? Because we can't do that, or?
Well, we never know who's gonna show up, any given call, and even if 10 people show up at a call at 10 PM, 2 might show up at a call at midnight, two hours
Oh,
later.
like, people don't be like, yep, I'm coming, or there's no way, like, it's just if they come, they come, if they don't, they don't.
Well, the tone's,
Pretty much.
yeah, the tone will go up.
It's still a volunteer to show up organization largely. Yes, we pay everybody that comes. For the full timers, they're either coming and getting paid overtime, presuming they had a full work week, or it just means they're gonna get into overtime sooner, later in the week, right? So, and then the call force comes and we pay them $17 an hour, but it's still 100% volunteer to show up. Even the full-time firefighters are volunteer to show up after hours. And yeah, sometimes we have too many show up, Matt, but how often is it? It ain't a lot.
You don't get me much, so yeah, no,
But seriously, and I'm not picking on you,
No,
you've
but
seen it.
your full timers are
It's not
your
like-
primary
We
responders.
don't have 4 people out taking care of the call and 12 people sitting back at the station sucking up the gravy. That's.
Yeah.
And once you show up, you're paid for an hour, regardless.
So.
Right.
Has this
Is
happened
there nothing
before?
in place that if like,
Overage on labor?
No, but is this budget gone over, this, I never know this budget never go over before,
Yes, it has.
but no, nothing like this though.
Oh, I've seen $20,000 pump repairs The
Yeah,
diff-
but
the difference is, generally speaking, we've taken a $20,000 pump repair and moved it to reserve account earlier in the year, and in this case, we haven't done that. Mostly because it just happened. So, so labor is up. Has labor ever gone that far over? It's hard to, no is the short answer, but we've only been doing full-time labor for 3 or 4 years, so there's not a lot of history there. Are our calls up, call numbers up? No. But that doesn't say anything, that's only one factor. The other factor is time of day. And then, of course, the big wild card we just spoke of is, does somebody come who's making overtime or not? You know, is Andrew or Kyle showing up, or are they visiting their grandmother that evening or something, right? So, it's, there's too many variables and not enough runtime to answer that. As far as the call force goes, that number is down. And that is, the people that show up on a volunteer basis but get paid, that overall cost is down. But labor is just a small part of the overage. The second element Richard mentioned is the OSHA violations, 2,800 for that. The third element, major element, is the second round of pump testing. And the fourth one being some recent mechanical seal failures on engine 21. That was about 5,000. So the request, as Richard outlined, would be to take as much as you're comfortable with out of your contingency account. He did not indicate to me that there was any other immediate need of that account. Money's already raised. And then take the balance out of our equipment reserve. That's what it's for. There's been many, many years, most of you weren't selectmen then, but many years when a major equipment repair just can't be absorbed in the budget, and it comes out of equipment reserve. That's what it's for. You could argue that those last two items are that, the pump testing and the pump repair. And you say, well, why would you call pump testing repair? Never in the history of our department or anybody's department have you ever tested pumps and not done something to repair the truck. There's a number of little things that have to happen during a pump test. It's just very, very common. From fixing ball valves and seals and tightening this and replacing that, compartment lights. There's a million things that on the checklist. So the request is take as much as you are comfortable with out of contingency and put the balance towards equipment reserve. And that just knocks our reserve account down some. And then, you know, we have an opportunity in 25 and future years to build that back up. It's unfortunate, but.
is it legal to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And been done many times.
I thought you could only go do, you said in here, do welfare and winter roads, but.
So those allow you to just overdraft and spend whatever you want to, whatever you need to. This is not that situation. Those are the two provisions where it's really winter road treatment or potholes, right? Where you do what you have to do. And
Like
then
big snowstorms or whatever.
Right.
You could argue with the intent of that law,
Right.
emergency services probably should be in there, but it's not, so it's irrelevant.
That's why we have to address this situation.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with the request. I think that's probably the easiest way to manage it. I guess the big question is what are we looking at for coming into next year? Are we just planning to budget higher, or I don't know how to word this, or do we offer time off to our full timers during the week, or do they like that overtime? I don't want to speak for people that aren't here. I don't know what the best way to handle that is. What do
Yeah,
you just
and
budget
I
for?
have to be careful not to get too specific, because there's not that many people we're talking about, so. It's an element that can be managed. There's some things being done, looking into making sure that, first of all, me being new, do I understand completely when overtime applies and when it doesn't apply? And it seems easy, right? Go after 42 and a half hours. there's days off, there's personal days off, there's vacation days. What if you come in at nighttime for a call on a vacation day? What if you come in at nighttime on a personal day off? What if you come in on the weekend, but you tell the,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
And I don't
complicated. So
support
I got some
deterring people
studying
from
to do.
responding, because the last thing I want you to be like, oh, don't respond, no,
Exactly.
that doesn't solve anything.
Right, and I made this comment the other day, if I had 100 firefighters. I see you guys tomorrow, right? Don't come in tonight. I don't have 100 firefighters. Right, there are two that always show up,
Right, out of a core group of like 7, right?
or 8, yeah,
Tops.
exactly, core group.
So, I have a question. I mean, because I don't understand fully like how it works. So if like a call goes out and say you need 5 people to handle the situation that you're in, and 10 people show up, all 10 people stay, all 10 people get paid, even though you're kind of like doubling up, like, I'm
So
guessing if
once you
someone
show
got
up,
up and
once
goes
you show
there,
up
like,
at the
it's
station,
like,
you're paid for that hour,
yeah,
even if you were to say, hey, we don't need you, thanks.
okay.
But
Was that what what happens now though? Like if like they say those ones that do get the overtime, if enough of the volunteers showed up, would you tell the people who are like hitting the overtime, like, we got this, thanks for coming in, like, go grab a snooze? Or- No,
Generally, no, because the emergency's never over till it's over, so you don't know. Oftentimes, you call back and you say, oh, can you bring me out some traffic cones or whatever? So generally, no, and they generally don't, as a general rule, the calls don't last long enough where that amounts to any savings, because they're paying for an hour anyway.
What percent of the wages of the chief and the 2 full-time ones versus the volunteer ones that come in the call?
The chief, deputy chief, and full timers are the first 3 line items.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how much is that?
Well.
I mean, that's
This
like
year's budget,
160,000.
150,000,
So
and then the call force was 36,000.
So 160, it's half of the budget, right?
What? No.
It's like 3 something.
3/4-ish.
Just 3/4 of the budget.
Well, that's a very round number, but something like that.
Has there been any thought of laying some of them off?
As far as,
Just laying them off. I mean, this fire department has gone bazooka, in my opinion.
its costs are certainly more.
I mean, it used to be less than 100,000 to run it. Now it's 300,000. Are we getting, is the house gonna, I mean,
It's tough, right, until it's your house, so that's tough, but you can't really lay people off, they're required positions.
Okay.
I don't think we have any,
Sorry.
overhead,
Sorry,
if you will, go ahead.
with,
the matter before the board to remain germane is the use of contingency funds or other funds to address the current situation of the fire department's overspend on a budget. Nobody's here to deny that. There's a proposed solution on the table, several solutions on the table. I think the debate that we're having here as to whether or not this is a procedural operation, it needs to be adopted as a sub policy to the
Well,
personnel
just so we're
policy
not
for
doing the same
responses.
conversation next year, I think
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to get at, like,
Yeah, really.
you know, I don't,
So obviously,
Where
they're
can you
looking
read it?
at internal mechanisms. Todd has not even been chief for a year. And we're working on putting policies into place to address weekend coverage and how do we mitigate overtime without deterring our employees? This is
Yeah.
a
You don't wanna punish people for
recruit
showing
and
up.
retain market right now. And if
Yeah.
we're able to retain good employees that are good and responsive to our department,
yeah,
then that's our obligation. But I'm now becoming irrelevant because I think the discussion that we want to have today, with courtesy to the chief and his staff, is a part of his budget discussion.
Yeah.
And if you don't like his labor request, then that's the point in time that we discuss that, so that he's prepared and that you're prepared with your questions as well. So I think what we need to do is we need to address the over expenditure of funds, and nobody's denying here. And then when he comes in with his budget request, which you'll see at the next meeting, no, you'll probably see the first meeting in January, and that will be the appropriate time for everybody to be prepared to have discussions about funding of personnel.
Yeah.
I would make,
The 24 budget is already approved, long time ago by town meeting.
Yeah.
It was approved in March.
Yes.
We can argue that if you want, but it's
Okay.
fairly
There's a motion on the.
I would make a motion to appropriate 10,000 from contingency to offset fire expenses. And then authorize the remaining overdraft amount to be drawn from the department's equipment reserve.
Okay, it's a
I'll
motion, a second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Number 11 here, discussion action on letter of recognition.
There was a motor vehicle accident a few weeks ago up on the Waterville Road. It involved, fluid on the road, fuel, I think, not committing to that. Waste management vehicle in periphery. And needless to say, waste management deployed what they have for available resources. Being a pallet of speedy dry, an abundant amount of labor, their street sweeper, and all of that was brought to support the fire. We would not have been able to do it, or if we would have, it would have been a lot longer, and far more costlier. than Our fire department, and they did that at no charge to us. So I have drafted you a letter, that, Todd has reviewed, as well as, the commanding officer on scene that day. And the recommendation would be to sign and send.
Motion,
Second,
any discussion?
if it's just like this, we don't have the right things next to our names, just so everyone's chair, but.
Touche, we'll fix that, just let them check.
We all got promoted. Wait,
Any other discussion?
oh, I'm chair.
You're
member. I got promoted.
Right on.
Sometimes it's not a bad position to be just a member.
All those in favor? That's everybody. Number 12 here, discussion action on Somerset County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
We don't have anything in our.
No, you don't, it's a 140-page document, but it's a relatively standard update in terms of maintaining FEMA compliance with the county. They have a couple of public hearings that you don't really hear about. They ask us to update our plans on certain road projects. and
Fancy
things like that,
paper,
which we provided. And it's pretty in-depth. You did receive the file, and I'm sure everybody reviewed it in their email last week, so.
Oh, yeah.
We just need a motion to
Adopt.
adopt the new Somerset County Hazard Mitigation Plan 2024 update.
Yes.
And
Motion
Second.
Yep.
any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's everyone?
I guess we're just gonna sign their name.
You did that one too.
Yes, we're trying to keep Peter here. Right?
Are you keeping, do you want us to sign this now, add this?
Okay.
Are we gonna change it with our signatures on there?
Yeah. That means it's there. Thank you.
Well, Todd's here, you want him to sign it?
Yes, please.
You can sign it too.
I'll let you use my clipboard. Did I get a promotion too?
You did.
Was this Joe? You didn't mind.
Chair.
I know.
See?
We're all done for your spot, Matt.
You can have it
You better
again. It should be wrong, it's okay. We can do the page. Okay, number 13, discussion action on January meeting schedule.
All right, it's budget season, right? So I don't know if we'll be able to get to some of your budget at the next meeting, but we're gonna hold the budget back until we have the full budget. So that we can get everything together. Right now, I have an unofficial preliminary request from the fire department. I have nothing for the library at this point in time. Everything else is pulled together. The deadline will pass and I will have a fire budget and a library budget for you at your next meeting, and we'll begin our way through. Your January 1st meeting is January 1st, New Year's Day. So you can keep that and we can meet it. You can cancel it. If you cancel it, your next meeting would be the 16th and I'm out of state. So it probably wouldn't be the most efficient use of our time to try to budget with me on Zoom. That's your pleasure. So we can keep that meeting, or we can reschedule to the 2nd and the 4th Wednesday for the month of January.
I think that makes the most
That
sense.
makes no sense.
Whatever works for you, I don't. I'm sure my wife would feel differently, but I have no preferences.
The first and the third Wednesday is great.
It's first and third of both holidays.
Third Wednesday?
Martin Luther.
That's Monday.
Uh,
It's observed on Monday anyway.
Yeah. Martin Luther's the 20th. Yeah, so the 3rd.
So we would go to the 2nd and the 4th.
Yeah, the 8th and the 22nd.
I'm sorry.
Works for me.
Works for me as well.
So
Just.
Second.
Motion and second, shift the dates, work.
I don't know if
Any
we've had to
discussion?
do that.
Seeing none, all those in favor?
Yes, thank you. They will be lengthy meetings. So we're gonna be into budget season and nobody wants to see budgets. Um. Right now, we're looking to be, plus or minus 2% over last year. Not bad. Expenses are up, labor is up.
Yeah, and you reminded me about the extra 1% today.
Right, and there's a new state tax, for Maine paid family medical leave.
Oh, yeah, are we,
That-
we have to do
It's,
that?
it's 1%, or you can mix it with 0.5% and take 0.5% from employees. But you can't under current, if you have an active CBA, collective bargaining agreement, you can't. The
Mm.
employer is responsible for 1%. So my guidance to every department has been to build the 1% into your budget. So that's what we're going with ultimately. That will be, those will be my requests to forward it to you, and obviously if you deviate from that in your recommendation, then that's your call. But we're in a pretty good position, but you do have some outliers of special requests that people want. And so we'll deal with those in January.
Okay, number 14, discussion action on initiating road discontinuance. Okay. Back forward.
Yeah, this is a little unique, and I met with the road committee week before last, I guess. And taking a look at our inventory of roads, and 514 Madison Road is a house that's located off of Madison Road. It is a use, it comes off of Madison Road, services one residence, and then comes back and reconnects to Madison Road. You should have a map for your file. Both sides of that road are owned by the same people. It is a responsibility, public road maintenance responsibility that lives through the relocation of that road by the state back in the day. The town has maintained it, we plow it, we sand it, we gravel it, we ditch it, we maintain the culverts on it. And it is for the exclusive benefit, of the one landowner.
Are we talking about the red?
Yes, that is a road in there.
Okay, thank you.
This road came in, what was the language and what was the deal made with those landowners? It's still the same.
Oh, the
I
road
mean-
used to be over there.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know what was given to them for information or promises or like. At that point, I mean, I understand why we're at here right now, but like, when this all happened, what were they told then? Like, I know we were reneging on something that we were expressed.
So the state did that. And no, in the same way the road is taken on, a road can be discontinued. So that's the process, and I don't think this maybe is in your packet, but this is the chart that I would have to follow for the process of discontinuing the road. The recommendation, unanimous recommendation of your road committee is to begin the process of discontinuing the road. I don't know what they said in the 40s, 50s, or 60s, whenever that road was moved. I know that we have a legal obligation to maintain that road until a town meeting decides otherwise. This isn't a select board decision. This is something that you initiate, you have public hearings on it, and then it goes to the town meeting. In town meeting, can say, yes, we want to, or no, we don't. So your steps would be, if you want to initiate it, then you vote to initiate. Then we hold a hearing. We send a notice to all abutters. There's only one abutter. We have to then get an appraiser approved by Maine DOT to come in and appraise the change in value as a result of the road being discontinued. I've reached out to somebody from Brooks. I think that's a little like Troy area, which was pretty much as close as I could get without being some huge corporation, to ask them if they'd be willing to take it on and wait and hear back from them and get a ballpark price as to what that costs. Candidly, I think it would probably be in the $1,000 to $2,000 range for them to make that assessment. I don't believe that there would be. I don't believe.
No, it shouldn't have.
That there would be a payment to them. We would have to pay damages if it devalued the property.
But by all rights, it should increase the value of the property.
Because your property is not bisected by a
That's
public
right.
road.
Yeah.
So you lose the maintenance factor, but you gain I don't have a public road going through my front yard.
Yeah,
How
because
long,
the public could use that.
how long is
That's
it?
correct. It's about 500 feet.
Okay.
About 500 feet. So, 640 feet.
Yeah.
And so anyway, and then it's the decision of the board as to, do you want to maintain a public easement or do you not? I recommend not. Why? There's no interest in the public to be down there if, there's no interest in the public being down there anyway.
Is
Yeah.
this the first that the residents are gonna hear of this when they get this letter?
Yes. And there's no, I mean, this is just
It's
that,
been brought up before to them though, hasn't
yes,
it? So they have heard, and it didn't go well.
no, but it was done candidly unilaterally. When I did an inventory, when I first arrived here, to say, why are we doing this? And it didn't go to road committee, the road committee, you know. We weren't talking about public pressures of infrastructure and the cost of infrastructure. And candidly, I think if you remove personalities from this is a decision that probably should have been made 8.5 years ago when I first got through the door, we should have managed the personalities right out the door.
Yep.
Because public use of money on this road candidly, well, I mean, it's inserting my opinion, but is as close to appropriation of public funds on private property as it gets. Yes, it's somebody's driveway.
Yes, it is somebody's driveway.
And it benefits nobody. And if you probably drove down through there, probably a call would go into Somerset County,
Oh, yeah.
especially if you did twice. So it's just, I think it's the responsible thing to do by the taxpayers. I think that the road committee was very thoughtful about it. We talked about the process and the difficulties around this. And it's ultimately not your responsibility to make the decision. It's your responsibility to allow the public to make the decision. And if the public wants to maintain it, then that's their choice.
Yeah.
I don't think people know that this is a public road.
No, I don't think so. I would have known.
Have you been down there?
No, but I knew that it was a town road, but I don't think many people do know that road.
Can't even picture the place.
Anyway, so that's the situation on that piece of road. To the best of my knowledge, that's the only piece of road that is like this. And so if you want to proceed, the next step would be to initiate the process by sending this letter. And then we would hold hearing initially, not a public hearing, but a first discussion. Publicly posted specific notification at that meeting in January as a part of preparing for budget.
You need a motion?
I do.
Motion to move forward with the process. Yeah. Is that right?
Motion,
Constantly.
second, any discussion? Seeing no discussion?
I'm recusing myself. I feel like I'm too close with this situation. I'm not able to be really objective and. Yeah, so I'm not recusing myself in this one.
Oh, I'm not even gonna ask.
No, me too.
Okay, all those in favor? That's everybody with one abstaining. Other business.
I do not have a,
Oh, the board, sorry, I figured you did. Board, anything further?
Are all the roads cleaned up from the storm? Are we all good?
I believe they are. Public Works, I released them early today, with the timing of the storm. I don't need them out working 24-hour shifts or anything like that, so I let them go early today, on the way low. They'll be called in the overnight. My goal is to have the roads as best as we can, the sidewalks open for commuters to school tomorrow morning. If the storm comes on the way to this.
Okay.
So as good as weatherman can do.
We just have a tree down in our yard, but I didn't know if they wanted to clean it up.
No, it's in your yard piece.
Well, it was in the road and then they plowed it into our yard.
Yeah, those are some, there's a lot, there's a lot of those.
So they
around
haven't,
town.
but, I mean, if it obstructs their ability to move it, then they'll get it.
That's like your tree.
Yeah. Tried to get them to take it down, they won't.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Not until the fall.
yeah, it eventually will fall, right? Okay, number 16 here, discussion action on 2025 budget.
I already told you what I needed to tell you, and that is the status of it. We'll talk about it maybe in the next meeting, but sounds like
Want to do fire next meeting? Is that what I heard?
if you want to,
If you're ready, don't rush it, right? I mean,
I'm mostly ready now.
so the next meeting, I'll give you the overview. We'll get the summary sheet, so you can look what our net position is gonna look like if everything goes through as we're
Let me
asking.
just check my calendar.
And then we can move into fire.
yeah. Just on a side note, while I got you, Todd, anything on estimates on the fascia? I mean, is that even like a plausible,
Thank you.
we're gonna see that, or?
Thank you. So I had. Main Roof Solutions.
Yeah.
Paul Russo. At the station. Gonna say a week ago, maybe 10 days ago. He's working on a quote for us. I asked him to replace everything on the exterior with AZEK. And then as an optional price, replace what was bulging due to being wet. And put some different substrate down, probably just pine, right,
Right.
and wrap everything with metal. Presuming that might be what we can afford, right, so
Yeah.
An A and a B, I've asked for that, I have not received it yet.
Okay.
I have put in a request to, Ryan Nickerson to have, to do likewise.
Yep.
And they're supposed to be getting in touch with me to make an appointment to come see it, have not yet, so that's in process, so both are in process. And
So does that mean it went out to bid or no? Like, it sounds like we're reaching out to individuals.
no, we haven't put it out to bid. And I'm not sure we want to, seeing as how that's what got us in the problem we have now. But we don't know if we're talking about a $3,000 problem or a $50,000 problem, right? So now we need to
Yeah,
review that and see.
It,
I
I
wanna
mean,
make sure we're doing it the right way, like we're going through the right
the
process. not
previous
just-
chief had a repair done on the building, just a section. And it was effective, probably not ideal, but it was effective, and it was far less than what we thought we were gonna be paying.
Right.
And Todd and I were speaking earlier, it's better to have that information and know what you're faced with. And hope that these contractors value that we call them to get prices out of them, and know that ideally we keep that confidence. Where we could move forward, if it's something that's a $55,000 problem that we have to bid out, that we know that. We're gonna continue to give them the benefit without confidence in their price.
We just don't have any idea of the size of it. I mean, we have an engineer several years ago that told us 35.
Did we send our bill to the school board?
Yes, so I actually addressed it with to the chair of the board.
Yeah.
They met, I think, the Thursday, they met the day after you met last meeting, so we didn't have enough time to get through it on the agenda.
Yeah.
I pretty much laid out the facts and the premise for our request. Being that a majority of the board up there agreed with our position and you dropped it, there was no resolution, and it still leaves us exposed in the future.
Yeah.
And there's a courtesy I copied the superintendent's schools, I didn't want to be blindsided on it.
Yeah.
It was 4,000.
Okay, anything else for the board?
Yeah, and
Just that
we'll
last one.
adjourn.
Two, there's a motion, second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Everybody.